how-to to YouTube, the synthesized music frontier. My name is Robert Monk, and my grandchildren left this little device here today. It's funny how modern technology is so small and compact to the point where a child can put together a hand-sized machine and make music out of it. This is a modern theremin, and this is me when I was younger with the theremin from my time. Anyways, notice how I don't need to touch this in order to make sounds. These sounds were the early frontier of electronic music in the 1930s. Synthesized music has a wild story, in which I played a pretty big part. Nowadays, not a movie, commercial, song, or television show is made without synthesized sounds. I remember the good old days, back when my father and I used to build theremins together. We both shared a love for electronics, and we bonded during our time tinkering and building things on a whim. When I graduated high school and went to college, we had a business selling theremin kits to people. While my father preferred the working side, I loved the electronics. Eventually, I graduated college, inherited the business, took over, expanding it, and inventing more music-related devices. In 1964, we were approached by the Audio Engineering Society to feature my newly made Moog synthesizer at their convention in New York City. After our device was showcased, universities across North America ordered synthesizers and customized sound equipment. Thinking back on that, I was young then. I was 30. I never bet that anything like this, never thought of myself as a member of an industry. I was going to make kits after all. I didn't know what the hell I was doing there. I fathered an entire frontier. Orders after the convention and the music being made with our devices saw my business blow up. Rock bands, TV producers, film composers, and movie directors, and even jingle houses were wanting a coveted synthesizer. Nobody needed convincing that they needed one. They were all lining up to get one as soon as they heard about it. There was an article about me in Electronics Review in 1968, and in it said, "It's doubtful the Beatles will be replaced by the Moog. Before long, they may be using one." The synthesizer was becoming a big enough thing that the Beatles were being talked about, inspiring others to look into it. Many bands were rushing to buy one, especially some very popular ones. I met Keith Emerson when he came to the United States to purchase a modular synthesizer. The Beatles first got theirs from Beaver and Krause after George Harrison had his eyes set on one. Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees bought theirs in 1967, and Emerson first got his in 1969. I'd like to play a recording clip of the Beatles' most popular song, Here Comes the Sun. Now, did you hear that? That sound that wasn't quite like the rest? Now, I've got a recording where it's just the Moog synthesizer being played. Now, if we go back to the first one, listen closely and you'll be able to pick it up. These new, richer sounds made their songs so fun to listen to. This new frontier was being explored by the most popular band of the century. However, it wasn't the very first use of a synthesizer in popular music. That was actually when Wendy Carlos recreated Wolfgang Sebastian Bach's music in her album Switched on Bach. Now, it was more than just popular bands using their Moog synthesizers that made it popular. Many newspapers and magazines were highly praising it. In May of 1969, Rolling Stone published an article saying, "No matter how you put it, the Moog is going to be the next big thing." Later, in August, UPI called it the biggest thing since the invention of the piano 260 years ago. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch said, "The Moog has made the breakthrough that electronic music has been waiting for all these years." very important event in the history of synthesizers would have to be the concert that was held at the Museum of Modern Art's Sculpture Garden on August 28, 1969. This was the very first concert to feature 4 Moog synthesizers playing live music. During the entire thing, there was not a single acoustic instrument being used. During the setup, there was only one power outlet that could be used to power all of the synths at the same time. It was also drizzling, so the extension cords had to be wrapped in plastic. So many different ways for the concert to fail, and for good reason. But actually not. Everything went great. The audience was loving the music, and the synthesizers held out perfectly fine. Eventually, it got to the end of the concert. Even after the musicians had finished all the numbers that they had, the crowd demanded more. So the members just kept playing random chords. It kept getting louder and louder along with the audience, and one girl in the back tried to get a better view by climbing on top of a box. But she fell off of it and unplugged the single power cord from the outlet, abruptly stopping everything. The crowd thought it was the greatest ending they could ever ask for. I, however, knew that in the future, the venues would have to be equipped with more adequate power systems for synthesizers. Another frontier. However, some musicians and music unions weren't very happy about synthesizers in general. The American Federation of Musicians tried to ban all synthesizers at one point. They proposed a policy where the only way that a synthesizer could be used to produce anything was if they approved it. There were articles on that, and I remember them saying, the officers of the American Federation of Musicians, meeting here to set contracts for the coming year, very nearly wrote the Moog synthesizer out of recorded music in this country. Moog synthesizers and similar devices shall not be used to replace instrumentalists, which I never intended for them to do. This was just something that I had made that happened to turn into something big. I wasn't trying to get rid of people's jobs. Some folks still thought that we had made the synthesizer to replace musicians, but that wasn't the point of them. I've said this many years ago, and I'll say it again. Our instruments are called synthesizers because they are used to assemble musical sounds from their component parts. That is what to synthesize means. The name alone should not imply that the sounds that are being created are imitation or fake. They are real electronic sounds that may at times simulate acoustic instruments, but generally have a character of their own. Again, this was something I made because of a hobby. I never intended for it to be able to mimic acoustic instruments. The synthesizer revolution started with a hobby, a passion, and curiosity, and ended with a legacy. Bob Moog went from being a how-to guy building kits with his father to being a legend that changed the way that all sounds and media are produced nowadays. The synthesizer itself went from being a barely functioning cacophony of parts to being an advanced machine that could produce an infinite amount of sounds within a time period of a few years. Because of the invention of the synthesizer, it opened the door to an infinite amount of sounds, which has pushed humanity's delight in music past the frontier of traditional acoustic instruments. Bob's work continues to influence our music today. EDM, pop, techno, house, trance, and many other styles of music that are created exclusively digitally exist because of the original Moog synthesizer. Synthesized music is no longer a strange frontier. It is now the standard for all media, in all sounds, and all music today. Because one man dreamed of and explored the never-before-thought of frontier of electronic music, millions can enjoy enhanced musical sound, no longer limited to traditional instruments.